Assalamu alaikum dear students. I Miss Azra from Economics Department. Our course is Intermediate Microeconomics, Econ-312 and Econ-212. This is my lecture number 11 and today's topic of our lecture is Elasticity Concept, in which we will study about different elasticity concepts, its measurement as well as diagrammatical presentation. The variety of demand curves, inelastic demand curve as well as elastic demand curve. Quantity demanded doesn't respond strongly to price changes. Price elasticity of demand is less than 1. It is the case of inelastic demand curve. Along with inelastic demand curve, we have elastic demand curve. In case of elastic demand curve, quantity demanded responds strongly to changes in price level. Here, price elasticity of demand is greater than 1. In both cases, in inelastic as well as elastic demand curve, quantity demand price elasticity of demand will not be equal to 1. In case of inelastic demand curve, it will be less than 1. In case of elastic demand curve, price elasticity of demand will be more than 1. Here we have perfect inelastic, perfect elastic as well as quantity demand unit elastic. In case of perfect inelastic demand curve, quantity demanded doesn't respond to price changes. There will be no change in quantity demand as response to change in price level. Perfect elastic demand curve. In case of perfect elastic demand curve, quantity demand changes infinitely with any change in price level. If there is any change in price, either increased, either decreased, quantity demand will changes infinitely. In case of unit elastic demand curve, quantity demand changes by the same percentage as change in price level. There will be uniform change in quantity demand due to change in price level. It is called unit elastic demand curve. How much quantity demanded of a good? How much quantity demand responds to the price? It is closely related to the slope of the demand curve. Again, price elasticity of demand measures how much quantity demanded, how much quantity demand of a good will respond to change in price level. It is closely related to the slope of the demand curve. Here in this diagram, you can see that demand curve is perfectly vertical. There is no change in demand curve. Quantity demand is only 100, not less than nor more than 100. On y-axis, we have taken price level. Either there is decrease in price level or we can increase price level, but we are unable to change the demand curve. Here it is called, in that diagram we can see that vertical demand curve, vertical curve is called perfectly inelastic demand curve, where elasticity of demand is equal to 0. In case of inelastic demand curve, you can see that here on x-axis we have taken quantity and on y-axis we have measured price level. Due to increase in price level, quantity demand will decrease as law of demand shows an inverse relationship between quantity demanded and price level. This demand curve is called inelastic demand, where elasticity is less than 1. We can also say that inelastic demand curve is that curve where quantity demand responds less as compared to change in price level as compared to change in price of any good. Again, in other diagram, you can see that here is unit elastic demand curve. Unit elastic demand curve shows that elasticity is equal to 1. It can also be explained that there is unequal changes in quantity demand as well as in price level. Uniform changes occurs between quantity demand and price level is called unit elastic demand curve, where elasticity of demand is equal to 1. You can see that there is unequal changes in both price and quantity demand. Again, dear student, we have elastic demand curve. In case of elastic demand curve, you can see that here elasticity will be greater than 1. It means that quantity demand will respond more as compared to change in price level. If we increase or decrease the price level by 2%, our quantity demand will increase or decrease by more than 2%. It is called elastic demand, and in case of elastic demand, we have elasticity of demand greater than 1. Again, dear students, we have price elasticity of demand diagram in which we have drawn perfect elastic demand curve. In case of perfect elastic demand curve, you can see that demand curve is horizontal. We can increase demand curve, we can decrease demand curve, but there is no change in price level. Price will be constant at all demand level. Here you can see the total revenue and the price elasticity of demand. What is total revenue and what is price elasticity of demand? Total revenue is the amount. Total revenue is that amount paid by buyers and received by sellers of a good, of a product. It is computed as the price of a good times the quantity sold. You can see that total revenue is equal to price times quantity. When we multiply the quantity of any commodity with its concerned price level, it is equal to total revenue of that good. Here is the figure 2 where total revenue has been presented. Again, on x-axis we have taken quantity and on y-axis we have taken price level. What is total revenue? How we can see that it is total revenue curve? This is called quantity multiplied by price level. When we multiply these both quantity with its price, we are able to get total revenue curve. Again, let's see students. Here we have elasticity and total revenue along a linear demand curve. What is linear demand curve? Within an elastic demand curve, an increase in price leads to decrease in the quantity that is proportionally smaller. Thus, total revenue will increase. How? Let's check the diagram. How total revenue changes when price changes. or we can say that how we will draw, how we will show inelastic demand curve. Just like previous diagram, just like previous curves, quantity demanded is taken on x-axis and price level on y-axis. Here, demand curve is steep in diagram first. Again, here demand curve is again steep in that diagram. Let's suppose that here an increase in price from $1 to $3. $1 increased here are shown in other diagram here where price has been increased. It leads to increase in total revenue from 100 to 240 as total revenue is equal to price of any commodity multiplied by its quantity. Elasticity and total revenue along a linear demand curve. Again, with an elastic demand curve, an increase in the price leads to decrease in the quantity demanded. According to law of demand, if there is increase in any good, decrease in quantity demand will occur. It is proportionately larger, thus the total revenue will decrease. How it is possible? How total revenue changes when price changes in case of elastic demand curve. From this diagram, it is visible that here demand curve is flatter as compared to previous one. Flatter demand curve is called elastic demand curve as well. Quantity on x-axis and price level on y-axis has been taken. Here revenue has been increased from 200 from 4 to 400, or we can say that revenue has been decreased from 200 to 1/2, which is 100. You can see that here in first diagram demand curve is more flatter as compared to the second one. We can see that here increase in price from 4 to $5 leads to a decrease in total revenue from 200 to 100. Again, elastic demand will be always greater than 1. We can explain it as if price leads to decrease, total revenue will increases. If price leads to increase, total revenue will decreases. In case of unit elastic demand curve, it will be equal to 1, not more than 1, not less than 1. It can be explained as at change in price level, there will be no change in total revenue. In case of inelastic demand curve, an elastic demand curve will be less than 1. If price decreases, total revenue also decreases. If price increases, there will be also an increase in total revenue. Here you can see that we have taken quantity on x-axis and price on y-axis. This is unit elastic curve. This is elastic curve and it is an elastic zone. All these elastic, inelastic and unit elastic curve has been explained briefly in our previous diagrams. This is a combined diagram of all these diagrams. Here you can see that there is a decrease. Revenue has been taken on y-axis. Again, relationship between price elasticity of demand and total revenue for cellular phone service panel. You can see the price of the phone as well as quantity demanded when we multiply column first with column second, it is called total revenue, and total revenue is price times quantity. What is elasticity? Here elasticity has been measured. It can be elastic, it can be unit elastic, it can be inelastic, and the same diagram, the same numerics has been drawn in this diagram. Relationship between price elasticity of demand and total revenue of the cellular phone service panel. Here quantity has been shown on x-axis and total revenue on y-axis. Total revenue has been increased, reached to the maximum, and again decreases after the maximum level. In case of inelastic demand curve, price elasticity will be less than 1, where price decreases, total revenue will also increases. Due to increase in price, total revenue will increases. In case of unit elastic demand curve will be equal to 1. In that case, due to decrease in price level, there will be no change in total revenue, but when price increases, again we will see no change in total revenue. In both price increase and price decrease, there will be no change occurs in total revenue. Elastic demand curve is that demand curve where elasticity is greater than 1, where price elasticity is greater than 1, and in that case, due to decrease in price level, total revenue will increase, and again due to increase in price level, total revenue will decrease. Here is the price elasticity of demand, its conditions as well as effect of change in price level on the total revenue curve. These are the recommended books. Dear students, you can take help from these recommended books. From the very first, I have provided course contents along with recommended books. I have also provided some notes to you people. You can take help from these notes. You can take help from these books. These are the recommended books from our academic committee. And thank you so much, dear students, for listening my lecture. Thank you.